subscribe, or bear the hatred of the Uchiha. Wake up to reality.
Alright, so we've made what, 3 of these videos right now? Yeah, the I Hate Gojo fans, I Hate Sukuna fans, and then I Like Itadori fans, or I Respect Itadori fans. Today we're here to talk about the third protagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen, I guess, Yuta. Now, you've heard Sho talk about his feelings with Sukuna fans, you heard him talk about Gojo fans, you've heard him about how he loves Itadori fans, as I just repeated. Today, we're looking at Saga. Now, Saga, this part, loves Yuta. I really do. I like Yuta as a character. I like him as like an older mentor to Itadori at some point. I really think that he's a cool character. I'm not gonna be the guy that's gonna sit here and say that kill Itadori so that Yuta can be the main character. At this point, I kind of really know what his whole purpose is when it comes to the anime and manga. You know, he's just supposed to be the guy that was kind of built up, so he'll do something spectacular. I won't spoil too much of the manga that's going on right now, but Yuta is actually about to do a really big fight. So we'll see basically whether he can surpass his mentor or not, and you know how powerful has he really gotten since being in Africa. Now, to talk about Yuta fans now, I feel like there's one of two ways. There's Yuta fans that feel like Itadori should be erased from the series because Yuta was technically the first main character. If you guys don't know, Yuta initially came first. The Jujutsu Kaisen 0 thing was the start of Jujutsu Kaisen, and they basically I guess they made him like write more of it, like write more in the world, and he decided to kind of go with a fresh cast and stuff to still keep the other cast there. They would just be ahead of year. They will be upperclassmen, you know. We will discuss the things that happen in the movie though, so if you haven't watched Jujutsu Kaisen 0, then you definitely need to go watch it. It is fantastic. It's a great movie, and it really shows Yuta's character in full shine. But obviously we haven't gotten too much of him though. Like, to be honest, even though he's a really cool character, he just doesn't have a lot of screen time, and there's reasons for that. But with that being said, okay, first of all, let's get into Yuta. Let's talk about Yuta's fans and the toxicity of them being likable or unlikable, because I feel like there's just a divide there. And I think Yuta's whole story about how he basically, you know, cursed his friend to make her a super strong and really overpowered curse, and that allows him to be special grade. He is incredibly talented, you know, like he really is talented. And I feel like as a character, yes, you could say he fits the role of a main character more, but you can see that Itadori is not your typical main character. In the I Respect Itadori fans video, you know, we pretty much go over and discuss that he's not your typical the strongest main character. He has some powers that he's awakened now, and he seems to be pretty good, you know what I'm saying? But at this point, he's just still not nowhere near Gojo's level, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, at the end of the day, he's not your typical overpowered shonen protagonist, and I feel like Yuta could be. His powers are insane, you know what I'm saying? Like his ability to copy curse techniques and stuff, like blanking on the guy's name, but the guy with the sound ability where he can say something and it happens, he's able to copy that and use a megaphone. That was one of the things he did in the movie, and I feel like his abilities are really set up for him to be a main character. But honestly, the story works just the way it is. I mean, you have Itadori, and I'm gonna compare the two a lot because this is like one of the most common talked about things. Itadori is more like a rookie in this Jujutsu Kaisen world, and you can consider somebody like Yuta maybe a sophomore or even a junior at this point, because he's actually ridiculously strong. He's been training. So while we could have learned everything about Jujutsu through Yuta, it was already announced in the movie, in that section of the manga and everything, that he's actually already OP. Then you have people like Itadori, who's the main character. His whole job is to show us what the Jujutsu sorcerer world looks like from an outside perspective. You know, he's a guy that has enhanced physical traits, but also really has no talent for sorcery at all, and that makes it a lot more interesting than somebody like Yuta, who we technically could learn from. We could see him learning to become stronger and stuff, but he's just so talented in the sorcerer world that even though he's a rookie in the sorcerer world, he's really not. I mean, let's not forget his rookie sheet, man. Like Yuta's a beast. I mean, even in his rookie year, just learning jujutsu, just learning the sword, really, he was able to 1v1 Geto. And the crazy thing, it makes a lot of sense considering that his actual DNA and heritage, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty much said that in the movie that Yuta is related to Gojo. So that would explain why he was able to make a curse so powerful that it gave him all those abilities. And I like the fact that he was able to kind of set Rika free. It lets you know that she's basically being set free. So he's not really cursing her no more, but her power still remains. That's a really cool way to look at it. In the movie, you see him basically go off the train with Miguel, but that's the thing, you get to see him later in the later half of season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. You get to see him kind of pop up, but his name has been mentioned throughout the series a lot. You know what I'm saying? His name is basically mentioned with like Todo, and they talk about how strong and how powerful they are as sorcerers. I feel like when I made a video talking about the complexities of Nin versus the curse technique ability, and it's a really weird thing. Nin definitely has his own differences, because I feel like Nin in itself, to me, I always felt like it get more powerful and more powerful. But I feel like curse technique is set at a certain limit, and I know I'm not gonna be able to correctly explain my meaning, but with curse technique, it seems like you could have something like the Heavenly Pact and be really, really broken, and be broken that way, and train your mental and mind and your body and try to fight cursed spirits and stuff just using your strength. And that's entirely possible. Look at Toji, who may be getting his own video. I doubt it though, because people really don't want to hear what I have to say about Toji fans, to be honest, me being one of them. But you got characters like Maki and Toji. Then you got characters like, Itadori, who is blessed, kind of similar to a Heavenly Pact, but his biology is just insane. He has some very biological things going on with him, and his ability to withhold and contain Sukuna, even down to Megumi, who has the ability of his clan, the hereditary technique, the 10 shadows, him being broken in that aspect. It sort of reminds me of Naruto, and I know I'm getting off on a tangent, just kind of bear with me for a second. It reminds me of Naruto. In the fight with Neji versus Naruto, they pretty much fighting about, hard work versus being talented. And, what Neji says is weird because it stands out in a lot of different anime. I feel like that's the true difference between Nin and curse technique. And the reason why I brought this up in the Yuta video is simply because Yuta himself is related to Gojo's bloodline, which means he has a crazy amount of genetic talent. Like Gojo's is so powerful. I keep saying Gojo's, but Gojo's so powerful because of his 6 eyes technique, and his combination of skills brought down from his family and his clan and his bloodline, and it makes it so OP when put together. Everything put together makes it so broken. Then you have somebody like Yuta that has a little bit of that. So Yuta, to me, is naturally blessed. To me, him and Itadori is like the Neji and Naruto of the situation, because I feel like Yuji is naturally gifted. He's blessed to be as strong as he is. He's part of a bloodline that is very, very strong, which for some reason he did not know, and accidentally cursed a girl to, remain a very malicious spirit for forever, eventually letting her go. Itadori is somebody that can technically be physically gifted because of his DNA, but at the same time, he's also important because, he's learning the sorcery world. He doesn't really have a curse technique, so he has to learn how to use his curse energy in different ways, to make his own. Like, at the same time, he's blessed by DNA, but he's also not blessed because he just doesn't have a technique. Now, obviously, he's using those things now, and that in itself is controversial, I guess, for some people. I mean, I won't really talk about it here. You can go watch the Itadori video if you want to see it, but I like the distinction between the two. I mentioned Nin earlier in the video, and Nin is a little bit different. Nin, to me, feels like anybody can become more powerful depending on how strong their convictions are. Like Kurapika, obviously, he wasn't the strongest character, but he became one of the strongest characters specifically for the spiders, the Phantom Troop. I won't really get into much of that, but I think it's always interesting that people don't like Itadori as a main character, considering that Yuta could be a main character, but he's actually just too blessed. And by using him, he would just basically become another OP Gojo that kind of steals the spotlight. I've had my own problem with not necessarily Gojo's character, but just the amount of screen time he's gotten. Considering that he's one of those characters where he's the strongest. I know he's the strongest. He gets a lot of screen time to prove he's the strongest. Well, in parallel to that, you have Sukuna, who is also a big focal point of the story. You know, he's always there. He's always behind. His plan is in the forefront. You know, he's always plotting something. He's the main antagonist, you know what I'm saying? And it makes it, he's just living inside Itadori, which just makes it better. Like, the story is benefiting from having a actual evil spirit inside of somebody that stays evil. Then you got characters like Yuta. While I do think people like Sukuna and Gojo steal the shine from Itadori, it makes him feel like he really isn't even the main character. I mean, we had the whole season of part 2 basically being a kind of a flip-flop. You have part 1 really being specifically about Gojo and his backstory. You have part 2 about Gojo being sealed and it just seeming hopeless because nobody can do anything. Then you got characters like Yuta, who's to me a more well-rounded Gojo, because we know he can definitely lose. He can definitely die, and it doesn't make him overbearing because he's really, really strong. Like, he doesn't become really annoying to the fact where any of his fans can say he can beat anybody. I think I've seen bad Yuta fans out there, don't get me wrong. I definitely do see a lot of those. Like, Yuta should be the main character. Yuta would kill Gojo if he had enough time. Like, you know, I've seen so much crazy stuff, but I like the way that Sukuna is basically ripping through everybody, and now we're about to get this fight between these two with assistance from others, and this could be an interesting way to take down Sukuna. I don't really know how they would do it, but I really want to see how they're gonna actually get their get back for Gojo. With that being said, guys, do you prefer Yuta as your main character? Do you prefer Yuji? Let me know that in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next video.